All right, let's dive into Zahara de la Sierra. It's this village in Andalusia, Spain. We're using historical accounts and travel writing to get to know it.
Sounds good.
I think the first thing that gets you about Zahara is how it looks.
Yeah, it's pretty striking.
All these white buildings, like
Mm,
clinging to the mountain, and then there's that fortress on top.
right. And the lake reflecting everything.
And the lake, it's like straight out of a movie.
Well, it's not just a pretty place.
No.
That dramatic setting up high on a rock, that's been super important throughout Zahara's history.
So the look of the village is tied to how it's, like, survived.
Exactly. Even the name Zahara is a clue.
Oh, yeah, I was reading about that. It's about the orange blossoms, right? All those orange trees.
That's what people think, but it's actually from the Arabic word for big rock.
Oh, wow.
That landscape is like baked into the village's identity.
That is cool. It's like the name itself is telling you how important the location is. And we're talking a long history here, right? I mean, people were living in this area back in the Neolithic period.
Yeah, way back. Archaeologists have found stuff like polished axe heads and pottery pieces, all from the Neolithic period.
So thousands of years ago, people were already drawn to this spot.
It seems that way. And then over time, all these different civilizations moved through, each leaving their mark.
Like who?
Well, the Romans, for example.
Yeah.
There are still traces of villas and a bridge from their time.
So even back then, it was a good place to be. I mean, if the Romans were setting up there, what happened after them?
After the Romans, well, you had the Visigoths.
The Visigoths?
They were these Germanic people. They took over a lot of the Western Roman Empire, but they kept a lot of Roman culture going.
Really?
Yeah, they did. And they added their own things too, like there are these Visigoth burial crypts and church altar fragments in Zahara.
Wow, so you've got like Neolithic, Roman, Visigoth, all these layers of history. It's amazing.
Right. It's fascinating.
So who comes next?
Next, you have the Moors. They turned Zahara into a serious frontier fortress.
A fortress?
Uh-huh. There's even a record of the Sultan of Morocco meeting with the Castilian king in Zahara
When was that?
in 1282, probably talking about teaming up against their enemies.
So this wasn't just some random village. It was important.
Oh, yeah, it was right in the middle of things. And what's cool is you can still see all these different historical layers in Zahara today.
You can?
It's like walking through a timeline. Each civilization added to the mix, and you get this unique blend of cultures.
You really get a feel for that when you're in the village square.
Yeah, it's a great spot, lively, lots of people, and right there, close together, are two churches.
Two churches, why two?
Think about it. This region went from Moorish to Christian rule.
Oh, right.
Those two churches, side by side, that's kind of a hint at that changeover.
A reminder of who was in charge.
Yeah, exactly. They're like a physical representation of how the village's past is still there in the present.
That's such a cool detail, something you might not even notice if you didn't know the history. Speaking of noticing details, our sources talk a lot about Zahara's beauty. Not just the big setting, but the little things like the streets with citrus trees, monuments, the Church of Santa Maria, a clock tower, a chapel. It sounds perfect.
It is. It's idyllic, and all those features give you a peek into Zahara's culture, the religion.
It's not just looking at pretty buildings, though.
No, you're seeing what the people who built them believed, how they lived. Picture yourself there, walking those streets, the smells, the sights.
It's like a total sensory experience.
You got it. It's more than just a picturesque village. You step back in time.
And of course, we have to talk about that medieval fortress.
Ah.
It's a castle on a hill, like you can't get much more dramatic than that.
You're telling me. Those ruins of the medieval village and that castle tower, they're the highlights.
What was the tower for originally?
Well, Zahara was important strategically, remember. That tower wasn't just for looks. It was a watchtower. And a key defensive structure. They had to watch for threats.
I can imagine.
And today, you can climb to the top and get these incredible views of everything. The village, the lake, the countryside. It's breathtaking, really captures Zahara.
Wow. So everything about Zahara connects you with its past. And there's even a museum at the base of the tower, right?
That's right, if you want to go even deeper.
Okay, so we've covered Zahara's setting, the layers of history, the architecture.
Yeah.
But what about being there today? What's that actually like?
That's what we'll get into next.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Let's do it. We've spent some time on Zahara's past, but what's really cool is how that past shapes how the place feels today.
Yeah, like it's not just about seeing old buildings.
Right. It's about sensing the spirit of the village.
I guess that's what I'm curious about. Like, what's it like to be in Zahara? Our sources mention a mix of, like, tranquility and energy. But what does that mean for someone actually visiting?
Okay, so imagine you're in the village square.
Okay.
It's a hub, right? People going about their day, tourists taking pictures, maybe there's someone selling pottery, an
Can you
artisan.
picture it?
But it's not overwhelming. Life moves at a relaxed pace there.
That's nice.
Yeah, you can wander those narrow streets, admire the whitewashed houses, just soak it all in.
So it's not like a tourist trap feeling. It's still authentic.
Very much so. Zahara's done a really good job of keeping its character,
That's great.
and it's not just what you see.
What else is there?
Think about the smells.
Oh, yeah.
The citrus trees lining the streets, maybe someone's cooking, garlic and herbs, that kind of thing.
It's a feast for the senses.
Exactly. And speaking of feasts, we gotta talk food.
Yes, the food. Our sources mention that Zahara has some really great local dishes.
Oh yeah, it's delicious. Zahara's cuisine is really connected to the land.
How so?
They use a lot of fresh local ingredients, and the dishes have this wonderful rustic simplicity to them.
Sounds good to me.
You'll find hearty asparagus omelets,
Oh, nice.
flavorful stews, and these bread-based soups like sopa hervia or sopa tosta.
Bread-based soups.
Yeah, they're perfect for a cool evening up in the mountains.
You had me at hearty asparagus omelet, but those soups sound good too.
They are. Is there anything else, anything really unique to the region?
Absolutely. There's this stew called quemons and tagarninas, which are made with wild thistle. Wild thistle.
Yeah, it's really good. And you can't forget the chard with chickpeas and olives. Oh, and they have this fantastic menudo.
What's that?
It's a tripe stew, a traditional one.
Tripe, huh? Not sure I could go for that.
It might not be for everyone, but it's a real taste of Zahara's culinary history.
I get it. So we've got savory stews, those rustic soups, and then what about something sweet?
Well, they're known for their quince-based sweets.
Quinces.
Yeah. Makes sense since there are lots of quince trees around there.
I guess so.
And of course, there's the chacinas, those cured meats, classic Spanish delicacy.
So savory stews, rustic soups, sweet quince treats, cured meats.
Yeah.
It sounds like a foodie paradise.
It is, but there's more to Zahara than just the food. As the day starts to end, the village gets this magical quality. The square becomes the place to be. People get together, share stories, have a drink, enjoy the cool evening air.
Sounds lovely.
It is. The aroma of all the food mixes with the orange blossoms, and there's the sound of laughter in the streets.
I can practically hear the guitars playing.
Right. It's so peaceful and inviting. And that sometimes you can even catch a concert or a cultural event at one of the churches.
Oh, wow.
It really adds to the atmosphere.
So there's this vibrant cultural life, too. It's not just a place to relax. It's a place to experience something special.
Exactly. We haven't talked much about the nature around the village, though.
True.
Well, you got to remember, Zahara's nestled in the Grazalema Natural Park.
Okay.
It's a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve.
Wait, UNESCO Biosphere Reserve? That's like a big deal.
It is. It's this incredible area, amazing landscapes, all kinds of plants and animals, and great hiking trails.
We're not just talking about pretty views then.
No way. This is a nature lover's dream.
Like, what kind of things can you actually see and do there?
One of the best things is the Garganta Verde.
What's that?
It's a gorge, these huge limestone cliffs.
Wow.
It's popular for hiking, rock climbing, bird watching.
Bird watching, huh?
Oh, yeah. And if you're lucky, you might see griffin vultures.
Griffin vultures. Okay, now I really want to go. Zahara sounds like the perfect mix of history, culture, and nature.
It is. It really has something for everyone, whether you're into ancient ruins or good food or just escaping into nature.
You know what strikes me? It doesn't seem like Zahara's trying too hard.
What do you mean?
Like, it's not trying to be trendy or anything. It's just comfortable being itself.
I think you're right. Zahara is a place that invites you to just slow down, appreciate the simple things, and connect with something, I don't know, deeper.
Yeah, I get that. Like, it's a hidden gem or something.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about why Zahara is amazing to visit.
Right.
But let's go back to that question we asked earlier. How has Zahara's past shaped what it is today?
Yeah, what are those lasting effects of all that history we've been talking about?
Good question.
We've been on this amazing trip through Zahara de la Sierra.
It's been pretty great.
Its setting, all those layers of history, that vibrant culture.
Yeah.
But I keep thinking about this question. How's Zahara's past shaped what it is today?
It's a good question. And I think to answer it, we got to understand that history isn't just dates and events.
It's more than that.
It's a force, you know?
Yeah.
It shapes places, communities, even how we think and feel.
So it's not just about seeing those old buildings.
No, it's about feeling the past in the everyday life of the village.
And in Zahara, that's everywhere.
Everywhere. Take the village layout, for example.
Yeah.
Those narrow streets, all winding around. That wasn't just a random design.
No.
It was for defense, a reminder of when Zahara was a frontier fortress.
It's crazy how even the streets can tell you about the past.
Right. It's like the
Right.
past is built into the village itself.
And that connection goes beyond just the buildings, right?
Absolutely. Think about the people in Zahara.
Uh,
They've got this amazing sense of community. They're so proud of their heritage.
I can see.
And you see it in everything. Their festivals, traditions, how welcoming they are to visitors.
When you think about all the things the people of Zahara have been through together over centuries, that strong community makes sense.
Totally. It's like their shared history made this bond that you can still feel today.
Definitely. And all that shared history, it must have made them resilient too, right?
Oh, absolutely. They've learned to adapt, evolve, but still keep their core identity. Like the village has embraced tourism,
Right.
but they've done it in a way that feels authentic, respectful. It's a tricky balance, but they seem to have figured it out.
It's pretty inspiring to see how a place like Zahara can handle the modern world without losing what makes it special.
Yeah, it's really something. Zahara shows you that progress doesn't have to mean ditching history and tradition.
It makes you wonder what stories are hidden in the places we see every day.
Right. Like I bet you'll start looking at things differently now, trying to see those pieces of the past.
For sure. I think that's the beauty of really diving into a place like Sahara.
Yeah.
It opens your eyes to how everything's connected, how the past makes the present, how even the smallest details have stories to tell.
Absolutely.
Zahara de la Sierra has gone from just a name on a map to a place that feels so real to me now.
I know what you mean.
I can almost smell those orange blossoms, hear the sounds of the village.
It gets to you, huh?
It does. It's definitely going on my travel list.
As you should. And as you go exploring, whether it's Zahara or somewhere else, remember to look deeper.
Deeper.
Look for the stories in the walls, the echoes of the past. Those are the stories that really connect you to a place.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for taking us on this journey through Zahara de la Sierra.
My pleasure.
It's been a true deep dive.
We did it.
And I think we've all come away with a new appreciation for the power of place and the legacy of history. Till next time, happy exploring.